Welcome, intrepid viewers from around the world, and particularly, of course, the regular American viewers who are being held hostage by the flatulent fascist. Nothing's moving on the shutdown. Nada. I mean, the wall thing. Yeah, I think the Republicans should actually do a bit of a whip round and get enough money to build 100 yards of wall and take lots of photographs of it, put him in a hard hat, put him on top of the wall, put him wherever he wants to be, and let the rest of it get on with governing. It's like a giant sandpit. Give him 100 yards to shut him up. Those of us who live in the real world know it won't be built, of course. Apart from anything else, it's profoundly difficult terrain, but there's also, you'd have to confiscate private property, eminent domain. Trump, in his typical fashion, has waved that off. It wouldn't take long to get the courts to authorise. You can imagine those ranches on the border. It'd be like, over my dead fingers, you will take this rifle from my hands. It'd be Waco along the border. I mean, it's just crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. And so much else happening. I was a bit overwhelmed, I'll be honest with you, viewers. I thought, where to start, to intervene in all this. So I thought, I will do a catch-up on the Manafort stuff because it impacts on everything else, and the spy swap. So, here we go. Now, what do we know about the Manafort stuff? Don't you love that? The lawyers, maybe deliberately, probably not, just failed to redact properly. So now we know enormous amounts about this case, and none of it is good if you were in the Trump camp saying no collusion, no collusion. So it's very important stuff because it actually names the players, follows the connections. And this is why you've got to have faith, guys, in Mueller. Everyone goes, where is Mueller? Why isn't he acting? It's because he has so much, but he's thorough. It has to be watertight. There's no good going in, waving a few bits of paper, going, we just know he did it. You have to prove it demonstrably, and it's a very slow process. So keep the faith. Keep the faith. But this gives us, on the outside, a really heartening lift, So, Manafort and the Russian collusion, which brings in Don Jr. and Kushner, of course. So I'm going to do a rose spread. That's a 7-card spread, and it'll give us a bit deeper look at what's going on here. Okay, let me bring you down for the rose spread. Okay, so we have the main issue. Sorry, I so rarely have access to the table that I just have to do these readings where I can. Then I'm hoping you can see it. It's quite a pretty spread, really. Okay, now this is Manafort and the Russian connections, central issue, Chariot. Love that. So let me flip over past attitudes and past actions, and we'll get a bit of a feel as we go. So the Chariot sums up the then and now, doesn't it really? Because he was so gung-ho. We must remember, viewers, Manafort came to the campaign and said, I'll work for nothing. Red flag. Red for Russia. Sorry, bad joke, but yeah, red flag. Why is a businessman who doesn't get out of bed for under $5,000 a minute volunteer for the clown campaign? Well, we know. Thanks to investigative journalism, we know he owed $17 million to Deripaska. Right? These names are starting to sink into our heads now, whether we want them or not. So, as a trade-off, as a deal for Deripaska, it's obvious that he said, look, I'll go and get a gig on this campaign. That'll give you access. That'll pay off my debts big time, you know. So this was fundamentally Manafort's modus operandi, right? So the Chariot was this gung-ho attitude, right? Now, then the Knight of Cups, the opportunity arose, like I described. This was a way for Manafort to get out of personal debt, right? So the opportunity arose. The campaign that was run, we now know that Trump definitely has an amphetamine fix going on, but what's the money on Don Jr.? Don't know about Kushner. He looks clean, but is he? But that whole campaign was waged like a cocaine frenzy, whether it was actually literally cocaine or just the manic rush they were all on. No one checked the credentials of anyone. So when the opportunity rode in on the horse, come on down, Manafort. So, strengths card. These were strong connections he'd already made. He was already a seasoned campaigner in the Ukraine. Sorry, apparently it's not right to call it the Ukraine. That's a bit colonial from the Soviet days. So apologies, Ukrainian viewers. He was already meddling severely in Ukraine. So he had strong connections to carry this off. So what should he be doing at the moment? Manafort and his lawyers, well, they'd better get better with the whiteout or the black pen or whatever they use to redact. Back to basics, back to details, you know. They've got to try and thread the needle on this. The only way Manafort is not going to die in jail is if he gives up the big guns. And I think that starts with Kushner Jr. and Trumpet himself. So I think this is Manafort's lawyers more than him. You know, he's blown it. This is someone working on the fine print. Okay, so what should he be looking at in the future? He's got the energy of the Queen of Cups. The sad Queen. Lady Diana, not on a good day. The Queen of Cups, he got the Knight of Cups and the Queen of Cups. He's moved from being almost pathologically indifferent. This is not a man of compassion. This is not a man of ideals. This is a man who was prepared to work outright for dictators and for cruel regimes to make a buck. This is him going, oh, gulp. I am looking at decades and I'm in my mid-60s. Right? I think it's only beginning to penetrate the egotistical skull. I think Manafort actually has issues too. Not just Trump, actually some sort of thing. So in the present, the ideas and the feelings that he'll be able to, this is women celebrating. This is what Manafort's thinking. He is still in an absolute state of delusion. He thinks the women, I think this is the women in his life, will be pleased to see him escape any jail time. I think it's the absolute opposite. His daughter, at least one of them, has already changed her name. The wife would be busy hiding assets night and day. One of the three women celebrating, I think he's got two daughters. So this is definitely the wife and the two daughters. Maybe they're celebrating that he's actually going to go. Maybe it could be that bizarre, if you like. Because normally it's like mob wives and things. Some reckon they don't know what their husbands do. Oh yes, he's just in sanitation. Others do know and are much more active. What do they tell themselves? And are there any who actually come out and go, you know what? He was a bastard. He was always a bastard. And he's out of our lives. Let me know what you think, viewers. So where is the situation heading? He's just at the beginning of this case. Manafort himself is just at the beginning of this case. It's a page. So this is going to play out over several years. Now, what is more interesting, because to a certain extent, we knew that Manafort was highly complicit, just like Ivanka. We knew a lot of that. We now have names and dates and places, but it's not news in itself. So let's have a look at how this is going to impact on Trump and immediate family. So how is the Manafort stuff going to impact the family? I'll go back to a conventional 4-part spread because there's so much else to cover. How is this Manafort connection? Okay, Manafort coming back to the Trumps. Sorry. Oh, it's all in the detail again. All right. Well, it's got a good outcome. I'm going to pull another card on this. Is it a good outcome, meaning for Manafort or the Trumps or for us? So I need to pull another card there. In the meantime, let me read the rest to you. So there's the 5 of Swords, the wins and losses, but this is him. The mini reading was about how Manafort's behaviour was going. He has finally turned. Remember, at the sentencing, basically the judge said, not enough, go back, give the rest, or I'm throwing away the key. He now has given a lot more, and Mueller has the connections. So this guy's very unpopular with the Trumps. These are the people who were in the same battle, meaning the battle for the presidency and getting the candidate up, and they've turned their backs. Basically, he has shopped the Trump family down the river. King of Pentacles, Trump in the centre, the greedy king, couldn't wait for it to happen. There he is. But then mysteriously, the star card, inspiration and hope. So I'm going to move to the Japarizzi deck. What on earth is the star card about? I mean, it could be that he gets 10 years instead of 40 or something like that, but what does the star card mean in this context? What does the star card mean? What does the star card mean? What does the star card mean? Oh, it's a little different. It's death. It's the death card. So, oh my God, the best he can hope for, his inspired outcome, is actually death. But that can mean things too. Obviously, is he thinking in terms of suicide? Has he got a plan? Has he got the cyanide pill that the SS used to have, that he's not going to do that jail time? Or is it the interpretation of the death card that it's endings? It could be that his best hope is to have all this over. That would make sense too. But in any event, to have the star covered with the death card is extremely unusual. You could do tarot for decades and not see that again. So it requires quite a lateral interpretation. But the outcome for how Manafort's legal dealings will impact on the Trumps, the death card. Now, okay, so this brings us back to the difficult to pronounce lawyer Veronitskaya. She's that one with the shiny Botox. Look, you know, she looks like a shiny thing, literally. And she was the one who was saying, I'm just a small town lawyer from Russia. I don't have any contacts with the, what used to be the Politburo, with Putin or something. That's now demonstrably been shown to be untrue. And it's put her in the centre. With her indictment, of course, we'll never see her again. But she's performed her role now for us in terms of who are following this issue. She has provided the actual email trail and connections to that series of meetings. I wrote down here how many meetings. There were many more than we thought. Just a second. 97 contacts and 28 meetings. 28 meetings. That's between all of them. Trump Jr., Kushner, Kalimnik, Felix Sater, Bayrock. Don't forget Bayrock Industries. It's going to explode when it comes out. 28 meetings that they have covered up and lied about. 28. We know of 3 or 4. Oh, my Lord. And that's not counting Prague, Cohen in Prague. It's not counting Eric Prince in the Seychelles with George Nader. You know, these other meetings are adding up. And Mueller's got proof. Okay, I'm going to do, is there going to be a spy swap now? And the spy swap is potentially between Maria Butina and Paul Whelan, who is stuck in Moscow. First of all, I think we should find out, was Whelan spying? We best know. Let's just do that quickly first. Was Whelan spying or not? Was he spying? Sorry. Oh, 2 of Wands looking at. Look, I'm going to say yes. I don't know. I've tried to stay away. I know other readers have covered this. I've tried to stay away from looking at that. But my cards are saying yes, and not for the first time. So the reason I say that is 2 of Wands, right? Hand, the globe in the hand. You know, this is international wheeling and dealing. This is putting yourself out there in the international capacity. He gets the Strength card again. He thought he could handle it, right? He gets the 3 of Pentacles, group work, and often dark money, but the group work thing, look, it's looking to me, yes, and the broken heart. Now, piercings in the heart. I have to lean towards yes for that. And the worst thing about being a spy, I remember seeing a British program on that, and a young spy was being inducted, you know, had all the training and was being sent out into the field during the Cold War. And the crusty old boss said, if you do good work as a spy, no one will ever thank you. They won't know, even those who know will never thank you. If you get caught, you're on your own. No one will know you. So you've got to be a particular personality type to do that. I don't know why people with families actually get into it. It must be weird stuff. But look, I'm a humble tarot reader from the other side of the world. Apologies to the Whelan family if he isn't. But also, people get called upon by their countries, and he might have been doing a bit of low-key espionage with countries like Russia that are very hard to penetrate for formal spies. Maybe he thought he was just helping Uncle Sam. Don't know, really. The poor bastard, you wouldn't want to be in his shoes, so... Okay, will there be a spy swap? Sorry. It's not good for either party. The Tower turns up here. Look, you have the Knight of Swords rushing in hastily. This could have been Whelan thinking he'd be in and out. You know, I don't think the US or Russia are rushing to resolve this. There's so much else going on in both countries. It's not as though there's a rush to sort this out. I'm also not seeing cards like the Apprentice card and working on the details and interactions at all. I'm seeing this card here, the Seven of Wands. I'm seeing this as Whelan on his own, trying to fend off these multiple charges. I'm really not seeing much going on in his corner. I think in the land of spies, whether that is the real deep state or the international espionage community or the straightforward CIA, this is a more sophisticated figure who is looking away. In other words, in this context, looking away from the issue. They've got other things going on. See all the other pentacles and things happening. The vibe is they've got other fish to fry, even though someone would be working on it behind the scenes, I'm sure. Nonetheless, I don't think this is a priority at all for the US or Russia. The outcome, I think, is not good. This is about Whelan and Bettina. To me, she hasn't turned up in this mini reading at all. I'll just do another small one on her. I think this is Whelan's story, and you'd have to say that's not what you'd want to see as an outcome if you were waiting on the state to get you out of an espionage charge in Russia. Why would Putin bother? He's got a bit of leverage. It might happen, of course, but you could be damn sure Putin's going to get something enormous if it happens, because he's not going to give it up lightly. Bettina, what's going on for Bettina? Maria Bettina. Also, we should remember, viewers, this spy swap idea came out the day after Whelan was arrested. It's sort of lay people, like all of us, going, oh yeah, you know, swap for Bettina. It's not necessarily what the government's thinking. You know, it just, like I said, it's from, we're on the outside of this, and I don't know that it's been talked about at all. The other major issue is Bettina has pleaded guilty. So, in other words, the US has got what they want from her. They could, I guess, record testimony or something. They prefer to have her here giving live testimony, but they could do something. Let's just see what's going on for her. I don't think it's got a lot of mileage, this idea. Maria Bettina. Serious spy swap. Oh, a deal is being talked about. Oh, much more going on for her. It's looking much brighter for her now. There is a deal. But I will have to do a clarifier. Is this talking about the deal we are talking about, you know, the two people being swapped for the mutual advantage of the USA and Russia, or is it she's got as good a deal as she can possibly get from the US and she actually doesn't want to go back to Russia? Queen of Pentacles in this case could be Mother Russia. Bettina had money, and I'm sure she was paid by the Russian state as well as making a bit of money, but she's not big enough for the Queen of Pentacles. I don't know if there's a female mentor with enormous wealth behind her. I'm not getting that vibe. So in this case, I'm thinking it's not actually her, and it's not actually a literal single woman. I think this is Russia behind her, working on the details. We've got this again. It keeps turning up, doesn't it, this card? The Eight of Pentacles and the World. So Russia working on the details of how to present Bettina's defection effectively to the world. I want to know more about this deal. I think I'll do it with these cards. Okay. So what deal is Bettina making? Who's she making the deal with? Bettina. Maria Bettina's deal. What's that about? Oh. Nostalgia. No, sorry, I didn't recognize it. Six of Gardens is Six of Pentacles, not the Six of Cups. Six of Pentacles. She's being offered the flower, the bunch of flowers, through a hand in the wall. I mean, just have a good look. I love how this Six of Pentacles. So in other words, she'd been offered a deal through the hand in the wall, through the Soviet wall. And I think this is her. I think what this means, I think Russia is saying to her, come back home. We'll look after you, Maria. You know, you did your best and you were caught. Sorry about that, but this is your home. Come back. We'll give them their stupid poor Whelan. We want you back. You wouldn't want to be eating anything Maria Bettina would be eating if she goes back to Russia. Okay? There's something sinister about the hand coming through the wall offering the flowers. I think it tells the whole story. Okay? She's in big trouble if she goes back to Russia. She knows that. She is not stupid. I think, it's the last place she'd want to go. This could be that deal, or it could be a deal with the FBI saying to her, as opposed to the CIA, we'll give you witness protection down the track when you're released from prison if you give us everything. She's going to do the best deal for herself. It's not like the old days where people did life for their countries willingly. You know, whether it's Manafort or Whelan or Bettina, you know, everyone's out for themselves. I'm not there to judge them for that. Okay, so much more going on. Trump threatening to withdraw money from California because of forest management, when 50% of the forests, I think, are under the federal jurisdiction anyway. Can he do that? I don't think he can. I don't think you can actually starve states into submission to bend to your will. Last time I looked, could be wrong. Okay, I'm loving the comments. I really hope you guys are getting fantastic mileage out of this community. I just love how you support each other in the comments here as well. So much more to do. I will return. So for now, bye. Oh, and I've done the Canadian video. I just haven't had a minute to upload it, but I'll do this one first.